Kamala's mother taught her something. When you see something wrong, don't complain about it. Do something about it.
He understands what it means to be a leader who lifts people up instead of trying to beat people down. That is Tim Walz.
Tonight on The Edge, Vice President Kamala Harris and running mate Tim Walz back together again for a joint rally in Ann Arbor. The Harris-Walz campaign keeping focus on our battleground state as the general election hones in.
Both candidates urging voters to make their voices heard with those ballots. Fox 2's Dave Kinchin with more from tonight's rally.
A day-long journey across Michigan ending in Ann Arbor for Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate Governor Tim Walz working to lock in support from young voters in the shadow of the University of Michigan.
So Ann Arbor, I have a question for you. Are we ready to do this?
But a group of protesters critical of Israel's war in Gaza disrupted the vice president's remarks. Their demonstration, part of ongoing criticism over the Biden-Harris administration's support for Israel, something Harris took head on.
Hey guys, I hear you. On the subject of Gaza, we all want this war to end as soon as possible and get the hostages out, and I will do everything in my power to make it so.
Harris went down her list of grievances she has with former President Donald Trump and the policies that she says sets them apart, with just 8 days to go until Election Day and a tied race in battleground Michigan.
And unlike Donald Trump, who had $400 million handed to him on a silver platter, and don't forget he filed for bankruptcy 6 times, the great businessman. Unlike him, I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood.
Her closing argument, vote, vote, vote.
Over these next 8 days, yes, we will win, yes, we must win, but let's also approach these 8 days knowing our power to build community, knowing our power to build coalitions.
College-aged voters we talked with say Harris's campaign stop in Wolverine country has only electrified the campus.
A lot of people say our generation's apathetic, but I think we're the opposite of that, and I think we're going to prove that with our turnout in this election.
I thought it was really empowering. This is my first kind of rally, so I thought it was really nice to see.
And whereas former President Trump kicked off the closing argument portion of his campaign with a speech at Madison Square Garden in New York, Vice President Harris will kick off the closing aspect of her campaign with a speech in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. In Ann Arbor, Dave Kinchin on The Edge.
Former President Donald Trump is rallying voters tonight in Georgia. Both he and Vice President Harris are urging their supporters to vote early.
But many are still talking about a comedian that made this comment about Puerto Rico at Mr. Trump's rally last night.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
I'm not going to comment on the specifics of the joke, but I think that we have to stop getting so offended at every little thing in the United States of America. I'm so over it.
Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, is making 2 stops in our swing state on Tuesday. Vance is scheduled to speak about inflation and grocery prices in Saginaw. He'll then rally in Holland at HES Equipment.
While you attempt to disguise your racism and xenophobia in the form of safety concerns, we see through this.
In Livingston County, more calls to scrap a resolution that critics call discriminatory and anti-immigrant. Last month, commissioners passed a resolution to monitor and document contact between undocumented immigrants and the sheriff's office. Several opponents of the resolution spoke at tonight's commissioners' meeting. Ultimately, the commission voted unanimously to uphold its original vote. With the election next week, we've already seen early voting actually break records.
Yeah, Michigan Secretary of State says over 250,000 people in Michigan voted over the weekend.
Before this weekend, the record for the highest early voting turnout in a single day was just over 11,000 voters. And on Saturday, we had more than 145,000 turnout statewide.
Jocelyn Benson says early voting totals have far exceeded the expectations of election officials. Oakland and Washtenaw County are leading the way in early voting. In both, over a quarter of all active registered voters have already cast a ballot. Benson says she's encouraged by the large turnout despite misinformation.
Citizens are fooled by the misinformation, but I've seen far more citizens enraged by it, honestly, and more focused than ever before in trying to not just help us debunk it and spread truthful information, but also being a part of the process as well.
Early voting in Michigan began this past Saturday. It runs until November 3rd. And tonight on The Pulse, we're taking on the border issue, but from a different angle, fentanyl, a drug that's claimed the lives of far too many in our country, including the children of 2 Metro Detroit parents. Those parents are joining us to talk about what they feel needs to be done to stop the flow of fentanyl, both from the Trump and Harris campaigns' plans. We're going to break down their plans and talk to those parents tonight after The Edge on Fox 2.
Well, if you like tonight's weather, you might love the next couple of days.
October is ending on a really good high note, though a windy one. Captain Rich Luderman has eyes on the forecast. Hey, Rich.
Hey there, Roop and Taryn. It will be breezy and noticeably warmer over the next couple of days. Today wasn't bad. We topped out near 60 degrees. Tomorrow's record 77, then Wednesday's record 76, both set 1999. This is where we should be for afternoon highs, so we have a big warm-up over the next couple of days. I also want to show you, over the last couple of hours, some showers have popped up over Lake Michigan, not far from Ludington, and some of that shower activity is going to work across the state. So that's why between 3 in the morning and 6 in the morning, some of us are going to get wet, especially in the northern suburbs. Here are the daytime highs today, 60 for us. Look at Newberry, 60 degrees. Houghton, Michigan, way up there in the Keweenaw, 67. And in Chicago, the numbers at the airport today, 60 and 37. It was chilly this morning. Tonight's lows will not be as cold as what we had late last night and early this morning. There are your records, 77 and 22. Right now, a lot of us are between 45 and 50 degrees. These numbers may actually rise a bit as we see those showers and that warm front lift through the area. Not a whole lot of breeze out there, but tomorrow, once we get beyond 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, it's going to turn southwesterly, and that breeze is going to be with us for a good 36 hours. 50 here right now, 65 Chicago. Look at Springfield, Illinois, 73 degrees. There is that warm surge coming our way for the next couple of days. There's that warm front. There are the showers pushing off quickly to the east after sunrise. And then notice it's going to be Thursday when this whole frontal boundary eases through the area. But for Tuesday and Wednesday, get ready for some breezy, warm days. Not as cool tonight, thickening clouds. There will be a few showers in spots after 3 a.m. Check out your forecast for tomorrow, Tuesday, partly cloudy, breezy, warmer. A high of 77, and then the next couple of days looking very warm into Wednesday. There's Thursday, that's Halloween. Occasional rain showers, but not all that cold. We'll check the numbers for you, Taryn, starting at 4 a.m.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Rich. Well, it's the beginning of a new traffic headache. Today, DeQuinder shut down between 23 and 24-mile roads so crews can reroute a 96-inch water main along the Rochester Hills and Shelby Township border. This project is lengthy. DeQuinder is not expected to reopen until next October.
Well, it had been a dangerous eyesore for years, and then a Detroit homeowner's worst fear came true.
The vacant house next door caught fire and then partially collapsed onto his home. Tonight, he tells Fox 2's Jessica Dupnack he can make the repairs himself, but he needs help getting supplies.
Just as the homeowner Robert was making his house a home, this happens. The abandoned place next door erupts into flames and he suffers the collateral damage.
Okay, so the fire came through here and I had waterfalls on both sides of the mantle and it burnt them up. And this whole thing was burnt out. I had to repair this whole entire wall.
It didn't come cheap.
I probably spent about $2,500 and I was like borrowed money.
Robert is in the red, becoming a handyman real quick.
Because I kind of did it myself. YouTube is kind of a savior, you know what I'm saying? I had no other options.
3 weeks earlier, before we visited Robert Monday, the house next door to his, an abandoned house, started fire. Our cameras were rolling on the area, the city's west side near Grand River and Schaefer.
My wife called me and said there was fire coming through the window. those.
His wife and their 3 kids got out, but fire got in.
When the fire department came in, obviously a lot of water damage.
And smoke damage, and all of the windows gone, and the roof damaged, and gutters, so on. He can't even make proper repairs because the debris pile blocks his access.
I can't let my family be exposed to the weather. It's getting cold.
Robert admits he doesn't have homeowner's insurance, but in this zip code, he says there's a reason.
The amount of money they wanted for house insurance was crazy. I'm like, I didn't pay that much for the house.
He kept up the lawn at that abandoned house, tried to keep intruders away. Can't say for sure if the fire was arson.
Years ago, there were squatters and like, you know, animals. And so what I did with that house was I boarded it up myself.
7 years in the Littlefield house, 2 steps forward, 1 giant step back.
The little money that I did have, I moved into it when it was like really ran down, just working my way up.
Robert says he's not asking for handouts, but he is asking for a couple extra set of hands to make those repairs, maybe even some tools to borrow if you can help. His information is on our website, fox2detroit.com. Jessica Dupnack on The Edge.
A Utica couple's newborn making quite the entrance with the help of a police escort.
An officer tries pulling them over for speeding, but they were on a mission. Fox 2's Dave Spencer has more on their amazing reunion.
Newborn Henry Sadowski is going to have quite the story to tell one day. It starts back on his birthday, October 17th, when Mary told the father of her child, Austin, that her water broke.
So I was freaking out. He didn't believe me at first because we were just talking about most people's waters don't break. They just do that in movies for the effect.
They rushed into Austin's truck and started towards the hospital. When they got to Hall Road,
everybody was stopped, so I was like, I just went through, turned left.
An illegal move.
So he did it pretty much right in front of me, so I flipped around because he was going quite fast.
Of course, there's an officer, we're gonna get pulled over for sure.
Mary was right.
So I called 911. I said, hey, my name's Austin Sadowski. I'm driving a black Super Duty, and I'm currently being chased by the cops, so I'm not stopping.
Eventually, he does pull over.
So then I pulled up next to him. He was kind of waving at me out the window.
I need you in that Super Duty truck.
My wife's in labor right now. Okay, are you right there? Is she in labor?
Going from police pursuit to emergency escort, just like that.
Keep going. Okay, I'm gonna escort him to the window here. She's in the passenger seat.
When they arrive at the hospital, the officer hands them over to the pros.
I escorted them from home Van Dyke because he was driving kind of crazy. Yeah. So I just followed him.
Got her in a wheelchair. I looked back at the officer and said, do you need my license for anything? And she said, no, you're fine. Just take care.
Good luck.
Do you want my license?
Nope.
The quick action was warranted. Baby Henry was having trouble upon delivery.
Baby showing signs of distress. We need to get this thing going right away.
A couple hours later, he entered the world safe and sound.
You know the gravity of what can happen and how bad it can become very fast. So I just tried to go into that mode and just help.
Days after that, the new parents were able to say thanks to the officer in person.
It's a cool story. Sure. So it'd be awesome if we could take a photo with him, just so we could give him a picture when he's older.
When it's like this and it's a positive outcome and you feel good about it and you feel like you helped, I think it changes it.
The officer who escorted the new parents here to Corewell Health Hospital is also a mother of 2 herself and a former dispatcher. She says that life experience really paid off in this situation. Reporting in Troy, Dave Spencer on The Edge.